Shalom, shalom. Call Halayim Le Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak, Quadash. And double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS, better known as Great Millstone, who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect, the tabernacle of David. And I'm your brother Matazabath, coming at you with another live and exhortation of a video, which this happened a few days ago pertaining to this comment left on TikTok. Now, I'm not using this conversation that I had going back and forth with this individual as a means to tear them down or whatever the case may be, but rather I want to use this dialogue that we had going back and forth as a means to edify the body, all right, or, you know, to say the least. Now, Salakia, basically, this is something that is why we do these lessons, and we have to, you know, spread the true sound doctrine. Now, the individual who made this comment at the bottom of the screen, this is how everything started, by him asking a simple question on the Elders Sit Down Live. Now, he asked, so can Hispanic men choose so-called black women? And by Hispanic man, he was referring to the Northern Kingdom, because when you deal with tribes such as Issachar, the so-called Mexicans, you know, Ephraim, the so-called Puerto Ricans, all right, Manasseh, the so-called Cubans, all right, he was collectively asking about those particular ethnicities, right? So nevertheless, my response, which you can't really see at the bottom, I said a Hispanic man, according to, we're dealing with scripture now, all right? We're not dealing with what's going on, you know, today in 2024, given the laws that Esau Edom has put on society, okay? So don't get simple-minded. But my response was that a Hispanic man can be with any woman of the 12 tribes, as well as women of the other nations, for concubines. And, okay, and that can be backed up within the scriptures. Okay. Now, the issue with that statement, he says at the top, he said, damn, so that's basically routine for fornication. And see, this is what happens a lot, especially Christians. All right. Because Christians think that fornication means either sex before marriage or a man sleeping with multiple women. OK. And I asked him, or rather, I told him my comment underneath. I said, true fornication, according to the Bible, is adultery, which for a man is when he sleeps with a married woman. OK, or incest, bestiality, or worse, same gin with gin, meaning, you know, if you are a mo, OK, or lesbianism. OK, that's what I told him. And you can actually find that in Lord's will. We can go into that. Now, he responded, the comment below, the last comment, he said fornication is sexually immorality, okay, which is true because sexual immorality falls under wickedness, okay, and what's considered wicked according to the scriptures when it comes to sexual immorality. We're going to go into it a little bit later on. But he also goes on to say scripture marks both adultery and fornication, Hebrews 13:4. All right, so Lord's will, we can grab that. Now, I turned around and said, well, actually, let me get to the point. Now, he said this subject took a turn because you're turning to use the Old Testament concubines to justify sexual immorality. In other words, he's saying in today, 2024, anybody that commits such an act on taking on multiple women as concubines basically is committing sexual immorality. Right now, to understand, we are governed in a society where you may have certain Western countries that disallow the practice of having multiple wives and also concubinage. OK, this is the reason why we have to use discernment. And let's get a precept. Let's get the book of 1 Corinthians, the 6th chapter, in the 12th verse. And it says, all things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. Okay. So basically what Apostle Paul was stating here through the Spirit, all right, to the church of Corinth is, although what is outlined for us Israelites to do according to the law, all right, doesn't mean that we can actually fulfill that law in this society. Okay. Just like giving an example, the scripture says, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. There are many witches across the four corners of the earth. All right. Does that mean that you can go and actually put a witch to death? No, because Esau throw your ass under the jail cell, right? You'll be deemed a murderer, right? So you have to be circumspect. Although it's lawful, it's not profitable for you to do it, because knowing the repercussions of what you're going to have to deal with. It's the same thing when we address this topic of having multiple women and concubines, man. Although it is lawful, doesn't mean that we do it knowing the views of society. No, that's where you have to use wisdom and discernment. And this is what people don't understand. And they think that this whole Hebrew Israelite movement is just about cussing a so-called white man, talking about that men can be with however many women or whatever. And it's like we always get a bad view that we are coming across being one way, where that's not what we're preaching. Now, although we know that the scriptures justifies a man being with multiple wives or have a concubines, what we say is that in this day and age, using discernment and being circumspect is probably not wise to do that, knowing the society that we're in. And more than likely, a huge high percentage of women, okay, they're in the spirit of, well, no, I can only have him and he can be with no one else. That's what we're dealing with. Okay, let's just call a spade a spade. So now, one thing that I found when you look up the definition of sexual immorality, since he brought it up, it says the evil ascribed to sexual acts that violate social conventions. Type of evil: immorality, iniquity, wickedness, morally objectionable behavior. So now we will have to turn to the scriptures to see what that actually includes. So let's quickly go to Matthew. All right. And I believe the 5th chapter, and right around the 31st verse and verse 32, which says, it hath been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causeth her to commit adultery, and whosoever shall marry her that is divorced committed adultery. So I want to look up the word fornication within this context, dealing with divorce, right? And then we're going to grab the one in 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter. Now, when you go into the word fornication, it is the Greek word porneia. Okay. Now, this goes into all the sexual immorality according to what the scripture says, which says illicit sexual intercourse, adultery, which adultery for a man is if he sleeps with another man's wife. Okay. Adultery for a man is not if he's already married and he sleeps with another woman who is single. That's not adultery for a man. The only time a man can commit adultery is when he sleeps with a woman who's already with another man. That is adultery for a man. Adultery for a woman is if she is married already and she sleeps with whomever. Doesn't matter if he's single or married. That's adultery for a woman. And the scriptures proves that. Do your own research. Now, fornication, which goes into what? The you see it there. Lesbianism, intercourse with animals, which represents bestiality, etc. But then it also gives you sexual intercourse with close relatives, which we call today what? Incest. Then it says C, sexual intercourse with a divorced man, okay, or woman. Then it gives you, I believe that's either Mark 10 verses 11 and 2. Let's go there real quick. Right. It says, verse 11, and he said unto them, whosoever shall put away his wife and marry another, committed adultery against her. And if a woman shall put away her husband and be married to another, she committed adultery, right? Because according to the law, let's get Romans the 7th chapter, verse 2, for the woman which hath an husband is bound by the law to her husband, so long as he liveth. But if the husband be dead, she is loose from the law of her husband. That's why it says if she be divorced from him and go into another man, she committed adultery, right? Because an Israelite woman cannot divorce her husband, but the man can divorce the woman for the saving for the cause of fornication, but not the other way around. Verse 3, it says, so then if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from that law, so that she is no adulteress, though she may be married to another man. All right. And that's pretty self-explanatory. But the point of the matter is he tried to use the subject of dealing with having concubines, which is a representation of having multiple women in the Old Testament, to say that equals sexual immorality today. Now, I will say this, under the society of the laws given, all right, in this day and age, this society would deem that as sexual immorality. OK, this society, because the scripture says, let's get Isaiah, the 24th chapter at verse 5, which says the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenant. So essentially what I am saying here is when Esau came into power, everything that was lawful for us to do, he's manipulated and turned upside down. That's the reason why when you deal with things from a Western society point of view, OK, everything is flipped up down, and Westerners cannot understand the Eastern way of doing things. And the Eastern way of doing things is we had order within a household. We had the man over the woman in terms of leadership. A man was allowed to have multiple women if he could afford them to forward his substance. That's what you call the Oriental way, which Oriental goes back to East. And this is the reason why when you read the scriptures, you have to do away with your mindset from growing up in the West in order for you to understand, which he doesn't have that understanding. And so essentially, I told him, I said, I didn't say that, think you're slick putting words in my mouth. You asked, can a Hispanic be with a so-called black woman? And then I said, my response was, a Hispanic can be with any woman of the 12 tribes, as well as women of the other nations as concubines, which is in the law. And I told him it doesn't change what the scripture says about multiple wives and concubines. So before you argue, get understanding before you be embarrassed. And he couldn't get the understanding, because essentially what happens is when it comes to the Bible and what Christianity has done within this society, as they have taken their emotions and their views and they have placed it on the Bible to try to turn the Bible into something that it never was. Right now, here's a brother, all right, from Quora.com. All right. And I ended up finding this, and I thought he hit this right on the nail. Now, this was posted 2 years ago. And the question was, are we allowed to have concubines? What does the Bible say? Now, this brother here stated this. He said, we need to understand the true biblical definition of adultery, and it is not what we are taught. David had many wives and concubines, yet he did not sin until he did one thing. And that was he slept with another man's wife. That was biblical adultery. All right. To sleep with someone else's spouse or betrothed, but only from the female side. Men are allowed back then, as it is still in now, Eastern cultures, to have as many wives and concubines as they could afford to take care of. And in the New Testament, the verse quoted from Paul about one man, one wife was specifically stated to men who wish to be leaders in the church. And he qualified the statement by saying that they should take this approach so they could have time for the gospel. And that's really what it was about, because you'll have people that say, oh, but if you desire the office of a bishop or a deacon, you have to be with one woman. And that was simply so that you can dedicate yourself to the ministry. But that was also speaking of really 1 Timothy 5:9, the widow having been the wife of one husband. Because during that time, you had women that were sleeping around, or if they was put away from their husband, they would go and have multiple husbands. And an example of that is you can read John, the 4th chapter, when Yahweh Shai asked a woman to call her husband. And she said to him, what? I have no husband. He said, thus has answered correctly, for you have had 5 husbands, or something to that effect. So when you need to understand the importance of going into the history to understand why Paul broke it down that way. But he didn't say that to insinuate that it was unlawful, okay, for a man to deal with multiple women, because it's not. So he goes on to say, in Western society, we translate the Holy Bible to fit our thoughts and agendas. And that's exactly what it is. This is why the Bible says you must subdue your own understanding so that you can be kept alive, man. And this is what this individual and anybody else like him is consistently doing on a day-to-day basis. You're taking your thoughts and your agendas and you're trying to overwrite with what the Bible says. He goes on to say, we don't follow what is written. Careful, unbiased study will give the answers. All right. Some of which we may not like. And that's what it is. Because the elders always say, when you really get into the scriptures, you're going to come across things that is going to cut you in the spirit, because you're going to be like, wow, like that really happened. That's what's going on. But then you come with the attitude of saying, well, we in a new age now. OK, this is 2024. We don't do that. OK, there's equal or equality between men and women. Women can do just as more as men. You coming in that fucked up spirit, man. That is not the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. So it goes on to say, lastly, the Bible does support concubines. And although it says Jesus here, we know the name to be Yahweh Shai, and no gospel ever refuted it. Right. So that's saying that Yahweh Shai never refuted it. And you will never find it in the scripture where he disowned men having multiple women. OK, because it tells you in Matthew, the 5th chapter. All right. And we'll close out. Let's get Matthew 5:17, which says, think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. What did he fulfill? The things that was written in the scriptures, or what he had to accomplish. Namely, let's get Acts 3:18. Which says, but those things which the Most High beforehand showed by the mouth of all of his prophets, that Hamashiach should suffer, he hath so fulfilled. That's what he came to do, was to suffer on the cross. He didn't come to do away with the law. So if the law stated that a man could deal with multiple women, he didn't come away to change that. The scriptures tells you Yahweh Shai is the same. Hebrews 13:8, for Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach, the same yesterday and today and forever. He came to do the will of the Heavenly Father, which was to be obeyed, as saith in the law. So although Yahweh Shai never preached or never disowned of a man having multiple women, it doesn't mean that he refuted it, because he never did. Now let's deal with this and we'll close out. OK, 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter. Now concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Why? Because later on in this chapter, Paul stated that when you do get married, OK, you're going to suffer things in the flesh, because majority of your time is going to go to your woman. OK, rather than having your full time to go to the Heavenly Father through his son, Yahweh Shai. All right. Because ultimately, all right, you're going to end up having a lot of distractions. That's why he said it's good, because you have to think Apostle Paul was given a spirit not to deal with a woman. But he goes on to say, nevertheless, to avoid fornication. What does that mean? Does that mean to avoid sleeping with multiple women? No. When you go into the word, it's the same word in Matthew, the 5th chapter, which goes into porneia. So in order to avoid illicit sexual intercourse, which falls under one, adultery, meaning if you are a man, in order to avoid you sleeping with a woman who is currently married, or in order to avoid you know, falling into the Mo Act, or in order to avoid dealing with a woman who could be possibly sleeping with another woman behind your back, right? Or to avoid you getting, enchantments worked on you, thinking that it's cool to go and commit bestiality, okay? In order to avoid all of that, which falls under fornication, what does it say, right? Verse 2, let every man have his own wife and let every woman have her own husband. Now, here's where they try to twist the scriptures. When it says let every man have his own wife, that's not subject to just having or to just deal with one woman. What it's saying is, instead of you going, right, for instance, when you go to chapter 5, okay, which is what he should have read, 1 Corinthians 5:1. It is reported commonly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication as is not so much as named among the Gentiles, that one shall have his father's wife. Showing you that, hey, either, which would have been illicit, right? Either the son was sleeping with the mother, which that was inhumane. That goes against scripture. That's in Leviticus, the 18th chapter. But it just goes to show you that the father would have had not only the wife being a mother, but he also would have had a concubine. Right? So you have men back here that were sleeping with their father's wife, which would have been concubines. So that's why he stated in chapter 7 that to avoid fornication, which falls under adultery, let every man have his own wife. Now, the scripture says in the Apocrypha, right? If you have a woman after that mind, right? Ecclesiasticus 7:26, hast thou a wife after thy mind? Meaning she's getting on your accordance. She's getting on your page, right? You could already be dealing with another woman, or you could already be with a woman. But let's say you already with a woman, okay? And let's say you find another woman that you have after your mind, meaning you know that she would make a good addition to your substance, right? Forsake her not, but give not thyself over to a light woman. In other words, don't get with a woman, okay, that is pretty much like you see majority, not all, but majority of the women today, they just clueless. They have no idea what's going on. They don't have the intelligence. They're not a virtuous woman. So don't give yourself to a light woman, a woman that really can't get on your substance and do what you need for her to do. You have to be circumspect in that regards. So if you have a woman after thy mind, don't forsake her. Go after her. That's lawful for you to do, man. Doesn't matter if you're dealing with one or two. That's your business. Right? And you just better pray and hope that the woman that you're dealing with, if you're going to pull that stunt, and if you have the substance to take care of both of them, you want to make sure that all of you are in an agreement and you're on the same page, man. That's it. Right? But in this day and age, it's not wise to probably do that, because this is the backlash you're going to suffer with, man. And it also becomes a headache at the end of the day, right? So, when it talks about let every man have his own wife, that's falls under whether he's dealing with one woman or multiple women, because guess what? Whether he has one or multiple women, they all make one flesh, because those women are under one accordance or in one agreement with the husband. Although they be many members, those many members make up one body. The twain shall become flesh. That's all it's talking about. Watch this. Verse 3, let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. What does benevolence mean? Let's look it up in the Greek.
Strong's G 2133, eunoia,
which simply means goodwill, kindness, or conjugal duty. Now, when you look up the word conjugal, okay, relating to marriage or the relationship between a married couple. Now, in the law, it tells you, right? Exodus 21, 10 and 11. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage, which would be her conjugal rights, shall he not diminish? So when you add another addition to the family, the first one, you can't just put her aside and treat her like shit. You have to take care of them both, man. That's your responsibility. That's all we're saying according to the scripture. But yet we're wrong. And we're saying that if a brother goes out and deals with a concubine, a heathen woman on the side, that's committing sexual immorality. That just shows how ignorant you are of the scriptures. You know, so, hey, man, with that, I'm going to give all praise, glory, and honor be to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Dash. Double honors once again to the beloved apostles and elders, a great millstone, better known as GMS, who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect. And this is just an exhortation. You know, this is not to build up anyone or Salaki, not build up anyone, but this is not to, you know, jump down people's back. And this is not a rebuke to that individual, but this is just to edify him and bring him up to the understanding of what he was saying, because he didn't have the understanding, you know. So Lord's will, you know, you were edified, and that's it on the matter. Shalom.
If you want to have 2,000 women, if you want to have concubines from the other nations, you can have concubines from the other nations. So go ahead, I'll read that.
It says, and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread.
Now that's not talking about the kingdom of heaven. That's talking about on this side, before this hell goes down. Because in the kingdom of heaven, the woman is not going to be working for herself or working for you. Read that again.
Saying, we will eat our own bread.
No, read it from the top.
And in that day 7 women shall take hold on one man, saying, we will eat our own bread.
In other words, we're gonna be married to you, this particular man, and you don't gotta take care of us. We'll take care of ourselves. So that's gonna happen on this side. In the kingdom, you're not gonna have to take care of yourself. They're gonna be taken care of. Because we're gonna be super rich. Go ahead.
It says,
During martial law. Go ahead.
it says,
Because when all hell breaks loose, what a woman gonna do? They're gonna be looking for men that, you know, because during martial law, when all hell breaks loose, when the shit hits the fan, what you think these people gonna do? They're gonna start grabbing up women. So women are gonna look to get with certain men. Exactly. And they're gonna be looking to get with us, man. These women be watching us. Go ahead, Al.
and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name.
Because a woman is nothing without a man's name. Either a woman's name is what? She can have one of 2 names. The name of her father or the name of her husband. She just can't leave her father and just be on her own. But it's set up that a woman is set up to be for the man. All right? Matter of fact, give me Genesis 2. I'll go right to the point.
Genesis 3:16?
No, go to Genesis 2. Something before that, Genesis 2. Let me find it. I know what you're talking about. That's a good one too. We're gonna go to that as well. Genesis 2, I'll give you the verse.
Just to reiterate what the brother was saying earlier.
Okay, I got
20,
you.
20.
In the kingdom, we're going to have so many riches that all of your wives are going to have their own personal servants. They're going to have servants to do their hair, do their nails, servants to make them clothes, servants to cook dinner for you. They ain't going to sit there and peel no potatoes and cut no onions. They servants going to do it.
Yeah, these women get attitudes because we tell them that one man's gonna have many one man's gonna have many wives, and they get an attitude. So these women on this side is totally out of order, man. That includes my wife. She's completely out of order. All the women that I ever had are completely out of order. And the Most High is not dealing with none of them, man. Now you got women out here that claim that the Most High, they for the Most High. Well, we'll see. We'll see during the hour of temptation. We're gonna see.